I want to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you here on today, every young person, and to all of the adults and especially the parents who are responsible for bringing you here on today. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. And we want to thank the mayor for convening this special youth town hall meeting for parents and youth on issues related to education. Before we go into our meeting on today, I want to acknowledge a few people and thank them for helping to make this event possible. Namely, first, the DC youth and parents who are here on today. I want to thank the Friendship Collegiate Academy staff, Mr. Donald Hintz, Miss Peggy Jones, Miss L. Jones, and to all of the staff members here, Mr. Watkins, for assisting us in coordinating today's events, the DC Youth Advisory Council, Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute, DCPS, the Office of the Deputy Mayor of Education. RC is here in the building. Mr. Jesus Aguirre is here. And we have our Deputy Mayor of Education, Miss Abigail Smith. She's here on today. We also like to thank the DC Charter School Board, the Office of the Deputy Mayor of Health and Human Services, the Office of the Council Member Yvette Alexander, DPR, Cable Television, DYRS, College Bound, and Build. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank OCTO, our Office for Technology in the District of Columbia. They have a special mobile vehicle outside that is available to all the young people who are interested in learning more about gaining internet access in the city. They have opportunities for families, low-income families, to get affordable internet services as well as equipment. And then also for those who are community members, community groups that are interested in partnering with OCTO in the community, they're available right outside the building, right in the front of the building. All right? So without further ado, I'm going to bring to the podium an outstanding young lady who is a senior, graduating senior here at Friendship Collegiate Academy. And her name is Miss Kennedy Westmoreland. All right. She's going to do our welcome and she's going to introduce our mayor.
Good morning. I am Kennedy Westmoreland, a senior here at Friendship Collegiate Academy. And in the fall, I will be attending Florida Memorial, Miami, studying early childhood education. Thank you. It is our pleasure to welcome Mayor Vincent Gray this morning. Friendship Collegiate Academy is the largest chartered public high school in the nation, and we play an important role in the District of Columbia's quest to improve high school outcomes for students. We are proud of the fact that our graduation rate is over 95%, and that along with Wilson High School, we account for 20% of all high school graduates in Washington, D.C. Over 60% of graduates from Collegiate have either graduated from college or are currently attending college. Collegiate graduates have received more than 600 DC Achiever Scholarships valued at $50,000 per student, 25 Posse Scholarships, 3 Gates Millennium Scholarships, and more than 100 full college scholarships for male and female athletics. At Friendship Collegiate, we provide a world-class education and prepare our students to be change agents in their community. And I would like to thank Mayor Gray for having me here today. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the Mayor of Washington, D.C., the Honorable Mayor Vincent C. Gray.
Well, thank you very much, Kennedy, for such a nice introduction. And I couldn't help but pay attention to what she said she was going to major in college. Anybody remember what she said? What did she say? Early childhood education, and we're putting a lot of emphasis on early childhood education in the city so that we can get as many of our young people who are under age 5 into school. Many of you have heard me say, in fact, I've been to Friendship many times, and I probably have said it here before. I realize we have students from a number of different schools other than Friendship today, but we have 70% of our 3-year-olds that now go to school all day, every day, and we have 92% of our 4-year-olds who go to school all day, every day. So it really is heartwarming to hear, one of our young people now going to pursue in college, getting ready to be able to be an early childhood education teacher. We're putting a lot more money this year and next year also in very, very young children, children from birth up to age 3. So that the day will come, hopefully not too far in the future, when every family who wants their very young child in a program, a public education program, will be able to have a chance to do that. As I look out on the group today, it won't be that many years down the road till some of you will be parents also. Hopefully not next week or next month or next year, but the day will come in the not too distant future when you will be parents. And I hope that you all will take advantage as well of the opportunities that we have in the city for our very young children. I'm glad to be here at Friendship. Again, as I indicated, I've been here a number of times. Friendship has a great football team also. I see someone I haven't seen for a while, Mr. Calvin Shingler. Calvin, it's great to see you today, man. How you been? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. And this gentleman does a lot of great work with young people, and I want to thank you for coming and being a part of today's Youth Town Hall meeting as well, Calvin. The coach of Friendship, I don't know whether you all know this or not, the coach of Friendship just left because he got an offer that is it's just a dream. And that is, he has been offered an assistant coaching job, and he has taken it at the University of Alabama, which is one of the top football programs in the nation. And a lot of the guys who go through as assistant coaches there, if they do well, they get a chance to be able to be head coaches somewhere at a later point. So anyway, there's a lot we want to talk about today. We want to hear from you all. And I want to again thank Friendship for hosting us today, and the folks who worked with us to be able to make this happen. We got a number of our staff who are here today to be a part of this. You're going to hear from our Deputy Mayor for Education, Abigail Smith, shortly. We've got our State Superintendent for Education, Jesus Aguirre, who is here with us also. And where'd Neil Stanley go? Oh, there he is. He's our Director of the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. Neil, we want to thank you for coming out to be a part of this today as well. And there probably are others. See Ken Slaughter now, who is working with the D.C. Public Schools, who's with us here today. This town hall meeting is a little bit unique because we said that we wanted to hear from not just young people, and this is the 21st Youth Town Hall meeting we've had, but we wanted to hear from parents and adults also, because that's the way that's the way the world works every day. So we wanted to hear perspectives from young people. We wanted to hear perspectives from parents and adults as well. Actually, I see Commander Hickson, who is here with us today. Stand up, Commander. We're glad to have you. Works with our young people as well. By the way, for those who don't know, we're going to have a new 6th District building. Won't be new, be renovated, be like new. And Youth Investigations Division will all be kind of right around the corner, right off Nannie Helen Burrs Avenue on Hayes Street. The Youth Investigations Division will be open later this year, and it will be in its new quarters later this year. And then next year will be the new 6th District. So, without going into a lot of detail, because we want to hear from you, we're going to talk about things like truancy today. We're going to talk about school safety, and we're going to talk about teacher quality, and that is what you think are important qualities for a good teacher to have. There's no doubt every school in this city has some great teachers in it. Not everybody is a great teacher, but we have far more great teachers than people realize. We have a program called the standing ovation for DC Public Schools. And that's an awards program for our teachers. And we have 600 to 700, between 600 and 700 teachers each year who are honored for the great work they do. And trust me, teaching is a hard job, especially when you do it well. So we want to hear about those things. We want to hear from you all. And before we start, we have a video that we want to show you on truancy. So why don't we start with that, and then I'm going to introduce, in fact, you know what I'll do? I'll introduce her now, and then she can just come up and start as soon as the video is over. I didn't mention our Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services is here also. And we were just out walking through the neighborhood on our age-friendly project. That's on the other end of the spectrum, right? I'm there too. Please welcome our Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, Bibi Otero. Bibi. And we will now have our video, and then the person you will hear after that is our Deputy Mayor for Education, who I mentioned before earlier in these comments, and that is Abby Smith. So why don't we start the video?
I was truant. Didn't take it serious, so that's how I became truant.
I kind of lost friends because I was truant from school.
Many times I was truant. Yeah, I was truant.
My name is Julius West. I'm just graduated from college, getting my Bachelor of Science degree. And I'm from the Ward 8 community. I live in the Southeast, all my life.
My name is Jocelyn Reyes, and I went to Theodore Roosevelt.
My name is Egyptian Ferris, and I went to Dunbar Senior High School.
High school was great. High school, I had a lot of fun. That was the time where, I felt like I was finding myself. At a point where as though I was identifying what I really wanted to do, and as far as my goals and what I wanted to become.
I went to Roosevelt for my whole 4 years. My mother wanted me to go to a school I didn't know anyone, so that was a fail because I met everyone in Roosevelt actually, and it was okay. I liked high school. I had fun. I was a social butterfly.
High school. It's hard to remember high school. That was a long time. Ups and downs. Some days I liked it, some days I didn't, Some people I built through all that studying and all that. I didn't like it too much at times, but I had good times and bad times. I want to know.
In school, I tried out for flag girl. I danced for a while, ran track. That was me.
I went to school not for learning. I went there socializing.
Favorite things to do in school? There was always sports. I did sports since my freshman year. I started with soccer. Didn't like it too much. Played rugby 4 years, football 2 years. And that was my reason to come to school.
Well, I really didn't like school at the time when I was in school, so I used to skip a lot.
Everything to do was, I was barely there. I don't know.
I was constantly truant, yes.
Always truant, always getting picked up for truancy around the neighborhood and in school.
Yes, I was a truant. I didn't know I was a truant, but that's how I was labeled. I did go to school. I left school early. You know, sometimes whenever I wanted to leave school early, you know, and I guess that was a definition of a truant. A person that is not involved in school activity when he's supposed to be involved. A person that's being defiant. I guess I had those days and those times in high school.
Yeah, I was truant.
I used to hang with, like, not the bad girls, but, like, the girls who really barely went to class and school. And we just had fun. Like, we was young. We didn't know no better. So I'm not grade in school. We was just happy we was in high school, period.
I always just wanted to have fun. I really wasn't looking at the big picture in life. It was always about what's going on in the moment, or how could I be, you know, perceived as still popular.
Just wanting to hang out, have fun, be with your friends, feel like you're doing what everybody else is doing.
I barely like getting told what to do. And I really don't like a lot of work. I don't like work being piled up on me. I'm not good under pressure at all, so I just didn't go.
I came to school, I just never came on time. I always came late because I did things before I went to school, and I wasn't really in no rush.
School has drama too, and that's another reason why I didn't go.
The fact that I was stubborn, I didn't like to go to class, or I would go like half a day, and then, you know, I wouldn't go the whole day to school.
Sometimes I thought teachers didn't like me. I thought teachers didn't want to give me that chance to improve in the classroom. I believe, you know, they always was calling me out. You know, always, you know, trying to put that pressure on me. And I felt like the best way for me to do it is just get away from it. Going through too much, I don't have to deal with hearing nobody's mouth. I just wanted to do what I want, because they never took the time to understand me or what I was going through. They always cared about, the fact that I wasn't in class. They didn't care about why, what was causing that.
Because of all the days that I missed in class, it'll be like one regular day that I go to class and I still be in there like I didn't know anything. Like, I'm lost.
I was put out of school, and they told me that, okay, you weren't doing what you're supposed to do, your attendance has decreased, and your grades has dropped. So I was put out of school. I was sent to my neighborhood school. And from that point on, I sat down and realized, okay, this is the last drop. There's no more chances I'm going to get out here. And I got to get back to my sport, in which I haven't been participating in. Got back with my sport, practiced all the time. I did evening credit recovery.
I wasn't able to graduate with my class, so that disappointed me and my family.
In October I gave birth, so I didn't go to school until didn't go back to school until February. And I had 12 classes that I couldn't fail, that I had to pass on. So I took on extra homework, extra work. Teachers need earned, I ran them.
Me skipping school affected me out in the street, because I started doing stuff out there instead of being in school. And if I would have been in school, I probably would have graduated, never got a tattoo on my neck. There was a lot of things that affected me.
Council member from Ward 7 is with us. She was out walking with us on the age-friendly effort earlier. So I want to give her a chance just to say some very brief welcoming comments, and then we'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Smith.
Are you all awake this morning? Young people, come on. I'm not a morning person either, but we're here. So wake up. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I I just want to greet you on behalf of the Council of the District of Columbia. I represent Ward 7. You are in Ward 7, so I want to welcome you. I just want to say how important young people are to me, and I know our mayor really has an interest and care and compassion for young people. You know, we want you to succeed, and we do listen to you. We learn a lot from you. So please take everything you can. I want to tell you, when the mayor was the chairman of the council, and he was the only chairman who held a youth hearing every Saturday. Every Saturday, so he could hear from our young people. We know you're in school Monday through Friday, so he took time out on Saturdays to listen just to you. So we want you to tell us what's on your minds, because this city is for you too. And as I represent Ward 7, I want to make it the best I can for our young people. I learn a lot from you, so please, I know that we're adults, and I know that you don't always want to talk to adults, but please listen to us, please listen to us and talk to us, because we definitely learn a lot from you, and we are listening to you. So I want each and every one of you to succeed. These statistics are real up here, and all of you really have to want to succeed. So we want you to finish high school and above and beyond that, because these are the easy years. It gets a little tougher. These are the easy years for you to succeed and make up your minds what you want to do. I just wanted to greet you and know that we support you, and we have to get excited, because every opportunity is yours. So we really need to get excited about it, because we're excited for you. I wish I was your age now in this day and time with everything that's going on. So you have a lot of opportunities. The world is yours. Do you agree? Yeah. Do you agree? You all have to wake up. Could everyone just stand up for a minute? Just everyone stand. Stand. Stand up. They have to wake up, Mr. Mayor. All the young people, stand up. Yeah, and then let's just clap. I just want you to clap once so you can wake up and get the blood flowing. Let's do it. Go, 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 go. Yeah. Woo, wake up. All right, they're up. They're ready for you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Have a great and productive day.
Thank you, Councilmember Alexander. And thank you for energizing the group a little bit. Good morning, all. Again, I am Abigail Smith. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Education. And we are excited to have so many young people out here this morning. I know there are other things you could be doing with your Saturday morning, and we appreciate that you are here. And we want to engage in some conversations around things that are important to you, things that we want to hear your perspective on. So the video that you just saw was kind of grim, huh? Yeah, a little grim? What I want to spend the rest of today engaging in conversation around is, how can we make sure that you all are in a position that come into school every day, graduating from school, and being prepared for post-high school, whether it's college, whether it's a career and technical track that you can learn the skills that you will need to get a good-paying job. I want to make sure that all the things that need to be in place in order for that to happen, that those things are in place. And we need to hear from you and talk with you around what is standing in your way right now. Sometimes it's inside of you, and we got to figure out how we can help you get through those obstacles. But sometimes the obstacles are outside of your control, and we need to do a better job of helping ensure that those obstacles are not here. I am going to just provide a little bit of information on a couple of things that are going on right now in high schools in DC, to just give you all a little bit of context for this conversation. And the first thing I want to talk about is career and technical education. First, let me ask, how many of you all attend Friendship Collegiate? So go to school here. All right, so good bunch of folks. How many of you attend another charter school? So not Friendship Collegiate, but a different charter school. Anywhere in the city, okay. How many of you all are in a DCPS school? Okay. How many of you all are in school but none of the above? None of what I said so far. All right. Got a few of those. We're going to spend some of today getting some feedback with you all, giving us your perspective. We're going to be giving the mics to people, but we're also going to be doing some texting so that you can give feedback with your phones. How many of you all have your phone with you today? All right, pretty good numbers there. So the first thing that I want to talk a little about is career and technical education. The mayor this year has invested in a new career technical education fund with several $1 million in that fund that is supporting the planning for career and technical education programs, 9 programs in high schools across the city, including one right here at Friendship Collegiate. Friendship Collegiate is preparing for an information technology academy that will launch full-fledged next year. And in 8 other schools, we also have academies that are in the planning phases that are going to launch next year in hospitality, in engineering, and then other ones in information technology. And the idea, and this is one of the things that when we hear about truancy, one of the things we know is we got to figure out what it is that makes kids want to go to school. Because sometimes it's on you, right? And you got to get up on time and you got to do your part. And you do have to do your part. But we have to do our part. We have to make sure that school is actually offering you something that is engaging and challenging enough, and that you can see the path about how that is going to help you be successful after school, as Councilmember Alexander talked about. So these career and technical education academies are one way that we can do that. And what happens in those academies is that in addition to your regular classes, you also have coursework that's focused on that particular career area, and internships, so that you're not just going to school every day, you're actually using those skills in your daily life through internships that you're doing during the school year and during the summer. And in just a few minutes, we're going to talk a little about summer and the Summer Youth Employment Program and how that fits into all of this, and how we want to make sure that going to school every day is closely connected to what you do in the Summer Youth Employment Program. But let me ask a few questions around career and technical education that I just want to get your feedback on. So one is, I talked about the 9 academies that are starting next year. We want to look at whether there are other areas that kids would be particularly interested in a career and technical education program. So I'm going to name a few areas, and if I can just see a show of hands, if this is something that you would be interested in doing a CTE program in. So again, this would give you both new skills, but also internships that could lead to long-term jobs in a particular field, so something you might be interested in. We don't expect everyone to know exactly what they're going to do with the rest of their life when they're 15, but we want to give people an opportunity to try those things and figure out if they're things that are interesting for you. So I'm going to go through a list of different areas, and if you all can just do a show of hands, nice and high, so we can just get a sense of which of the areas that are most interesting to you in terms of a career pathway that you think you'd like to learn more about and engage in coursework and internships about. So is everybody ready? All right, everybody's hands up just so I can see you're ready. All right. Adults, feel free to vote as well where you have a young person in your life and you know it's something they would be interested in, because that's going to help us too. So first area, business management. Is that something that people would be interested in pursuing? Okay. We got pretty good numbers there. Law and public safety. A little less interest there. Any of you in currently a CTE program in law? There are several of them in the city. A few of you? Anyone here go to Thurgood Marshall Academy? Education. So the young lady who introduced the mayor talked about going into early childhood education, so I got one there. You're already ready. Other people, to a career and technical education program in education, early education or teaching in general? Okay. Health sciences. So that'd be nursing, and then some of there are a range of fields there. arts, audiovisual, and communications. Huh. A bigger number than I might have guessed there. Marketing. Good question. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. What's marketing? Who wants to give your definition of what marketing is? Yeah. Salesman. Okay, so sales. How do you make sure other people are interested in buying whatever it is? Could be a product, could be an idea, but marketing is the approach to do that. I think salesman's a perfect summary of that. Transportation. So this is one, I see a couple of hands there. This is one that there's already some planning on right now. There is actually a burgeoning industry in terms of transportation that you might not think about, but with changes in how we approach transportation in DC, there's some significant economic opportunities there and job opportunities. So that's one that think a little bit more about, because we may have some opportunities there. Let me ask one other question that I want to just get some feedback on, and I think we've got some mics that we can bring around. So one of the things, and when you go to school every day, what are the things you're learning? Shout them out. English. History. Physics. Math. Gym. Say it again. Health. Team sports. That's one. How many of you go to school every day because of team sports? That is what gets you to school every day. All right. Well, you know what? That's important, right? Because if we can get you there, then there's some other things we can do. I want to throw out another area. Everything that you talked about are all areas that employers will say is important for them. They actually do care about people who've done sports, who've engaged in team sports. That provides you lots of skills in addition, and discipline, and obviously physical health, and all of those subject areas you talked about, math and reading, obviously really important. Here's another area that employers talk a lot about, is having young people who have the sort of job skills, not the things that you're learning in math and English, but the kinds of things that make you ready to behave effectively in the workplace. So knowing how to dress when you go to work, knowing how to engage with your fellow employees, including the ones that you really don't like. Because guess what? I'd say every grown-up in the room will tell you that there are some people that we work with who we don't like that much. It's just the reality. But we've learned how to engage with those people in really respectful ways, and that's something that employers care a lot about. Raise your hand if you feel like in school right now you are learning some of those skills about just how to operate effectively in a workplace. Not the reading and math and all that, but raise your hand if you feel like you're getting some of that. All right. How might schools better prepare you for that kind of thing? And Daryl, do we have a mic? Raise your hand if you've got some ideas of how schools might prepare you better to just be able to succeed in a workplace. Looks like we got one right back there.
Hello, my name is Wanda Akins. I'm a fourth-generation artist and student, and I think that if you create real-life situations in which you send students in to observe and also to have communication or conversations with people within that area, it might introduce or support realistic outcomes.
So it's one thing to sit in a classroom every day and have people tell you what you need to learn, and it's another thing to actually engage with real people who are doing this kind of work. How many of you all have had some kind of internship or work experience that you actually think has helped you get better at that? So some, but certainly not everybody. I think there was a gentleman towards the back there.
Okay, I was going to say maybe more hands-on activity or group activities that'll work, you know, so we can learn how to work together one-on-one.
Yep. So the hands-on activities. Again, one of the things that we know about career and technical programs in high schools is It's actually one of the best ways to make sure we get kids to school every day. And part of the reason for that is exactly the point that this gentleman made, that there are hands-on activities. You're not just talking about how you might do something, you're actually doing those things. And most of us engage more when we're actually doing. So that's one of the things we want to see much more in high schools. I am going to use this opportunity, as we're talking about how you're prepared for things beyond high school, to call up Jaron Price, who works at our Department of Employment Services and focuses on the Summer Youth Employment Program as one of his main areas, to talk a little bit about how the SYEP, raise your hand if you have been involved in SYEP in the past, Summer Youth Employment Program. Okay, a whole lot of you. So Jaron's going to talk a little bit about what SYEP employers are looking for and how we want to make a connection between what you're doing in school every day and the Summer Youth Employment Program. So I'm going to turn things over to Jaron.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, I see some of y'all are still alive. Some of y'all need to wake on up. My name is Jaron Price. I'm the Deputy Director for Youth Operations at the D.C. Department of Employment Services. As Deputy Mayor Smith said, we operate a number of different youth employment programs that help put young people to work throughout the city. Some programs that are in place right now. So we have some of our youth who are doing the One City High School internship, about 100 young people working across the city in internships. We also have programs for young people who are out of school, and we have programs for youth who are in school. One of those is the Summer Youth Employment Program. Now, I saw a lot of you raise your hand and said you've been involved in the program before, so many of you know that there are already some next steps that are coming up with that program. I want to introduce our Associate Director for Youth Programs, Ms. Thenie Freeman, who's going to give you a little bit more about the Summer Youth Employment Program and where we are today.
Good morning, 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 good morning. That's what happens when you go on an age-friendly walk with the deputy mayor and the city council member of this ward, and you're just energized after getting all of that fresh air. So I am truly excited to be here in front of you. I've seen most of you young people when you've come to bring your documents for SYEP, or because I work across the street when you guys are going back and forth to 7-Eleven, or when I catch you in Deanwood Cafe and I say, what are you doing in here in the middle of the day? Yeah, that's me. So SYEP, we currently have about 14,000 applicants, and we are truly, truly excited. We have partners who've signed on. We have an increase in technology opportunities for you. We're partnering with DCRA for some stuff that's coming down the pike. Councilmember Yvette Alexander just signed on. She's going to have a street team in her ward that's going to do some real stuff in your community. So that's stuff to be excited about. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. How many of you at Friendship Collegiate are here today because you have to be?
Friendship.
If you have to be here, clap it up. Now let me hear you clap it if you want to be here. Those are the youth. Now, anyone that wants to be here, we have a program in our office called the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute, it focuses on community involvement and civic engagement. And while we love those enthusiastic youth who want to serve their community, so please make sure you see Mr. Philip Walker. Where are you, Mr. Philip Walker? Mr. Philip Walker at the conclusion of this, so that we're taking the applications for our new cohort that's coming up. And something that Deputy Director did not say, I guess he saved it for me to say, and I'm so excited to say, this is the 35th anniversary of SYEP and MYLI, and it is because of you that we are successful. So we are so great to be here, and we thank you.
Are the first
Ooh.
35 years ago. How old?
Okay, first you to answer that question. Who answered it? 49? Okay. I have something for you. I don't have it right now, but I'll make sure I get you something for 49. What school do you attend? What grade? Uh-oh. You got mail. Wizards tickets. Woo! How exciting. amazing. Is there any adult in here who participated in the very first year of, in that first inaugural year? You were here? Woo! Congratulations. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Deputy Director, Mr. Price. But if you guys have any questions, see us in the interim.
All right, so the last thing I want to tell you guys about, this is a very, very important announcement for anybody who is currently queued up to participate in the Summer Youth Employment Program. Many of you know last year was the very first year that we had a policy all around school truancy. Anybody remember that policy? It basically says that if you miss any days of school and you have an unexcused absence, you are at risk of losing your space in the program. Okay, now the time is right for us to do that again this year. Deputy Mayor Smith talked a lot about truancy and how it's really important that you are at school every single day to ensure that you are getting your education. Getting a great education means that you are putting yourself in a place to have a great career, and we believe that is critically important to your success. All right? So what we're going to be doing this year is, once again, you have to go to school every single day if you want to keep your job. Any unexcused absences, and you can lose your space. But how many people in here would like an opportunity to earn a little more money this summer? Raise your hand if you want to earn more money this summer. For those of y'all who want to earn some more money, I'm going to tell you all how you can do it. This year, not only are we going to say that if you gain additional unexcused absences, you can lose your space. If you can demonstrate that you do not get any more unexcused absences, if you are at school for every day for the remainder of the school year, you will get additional money towards your employment this year, okay? It can be at least up to $2 more an hour that you will be able to earn on top of your salary. So do the math. That's pretty good money you can make in your summer job if you are going to school. All right, so hopefully we'll see some really positive results with that. We're looking forward to working with all of you this summer. As Ms. Freeman said, the DOES, the Department of Employment Services, we call it DOES for short. We're right across the street. The Office of Youth Programs is on the second floor. If any of you are interested in any of our programs or you want more information, even if you just want to sit with somebody and talk about careers and work on your resume, we are here for you Monday through Friday. Come see us after school until 5 o'clock. And as she said, we have programs that run after school as well. Thank you guys very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation. Yes, ma'am.
So if I get $2 more an hour, how much more money am I going to get in the summer?
Good question. Anybody want to answer that? She said if you earn $2 more per hour during the summer, what would be your total pay rate for the summer? You have to know the original. Oh, she said, what do you get the whole summer? That's actually even more difficult. Ooh, she just threw a trick at you. What age are we talking about? 15. Age 15. I don't know if anyone's going to get this one. I don't see anybody with a hand up that has the answer right here. So that's what you'll get per hour, but what would you get for the whole summer? Yeah. You might need a calculator for that one. How many days are in the program? Anybody know the answer to that? No. All right, I'll let you know. It's 29 days of the program. 29 days. What'd you say? It's 4. What'd you say? Yes, that's right. 4 hours a day, 29 days, $7.25 an hour. Somebody have it? Somebody has it? Raise your hand. Who has it? I think we have somebody who has the answer. Would you like to answer?
$841.
$841 is correct, and you win a prize. Tickets to the Wizards game. All right, thank you guys again. We look forward to working with all of you this summer. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation this morning.
If y'all haven't gotten it, let me just break it down one more time. Going to school every day, staying at school every day, results in what, people? In this case, it results just straight up in more cash. Okay? Can't get clearer than that. And by the way, what are, after SYEP is over and you don't have that opportunity anymore and you're just out in the world, what are employers looking for as a foundational thing in every employee? Experience? Maybe. What do they want to know about their employees? Do you come to work on time every day? What's the best way for them to know if you're going to come to work on time every day? Because if they knew you came to school on time every day. Because people's past behavior is the single biggest predictor of their future behavior. So that's what it comes down to. Now, I want to ask the adults in the room, do you love coming to work every single day? Raise your hand if every single day you love coming to work. All right, we got a few. Raise your hand if there are some days, adults, when you wake up in the morning and you think, you know what, I'd just as soon not go to work. Raise your hand. I'm going to raise my hand on that one. Some days. But what do I do on those days? I get up and I go to work. And my boss, when he comes back here, will confirm that that's true. So we're not saying that every morning we expect you to wake up in the morning and say, I really am dying to go to school every single morning. We get that there's some days when you're not going to want to. But what are you going to do on those days? Get up and go to work or go to school. Thank you, sir. Do you go to school every day? Yes, I bet you do. I know you do, because I know who your grandma is. All right, so one of the things that we're doing right now as a city is we are looking at what we call student assignment policy for the city. So where kids go to school. So how it is that you access certain schools. Everybody in the city has a right to go to a public school, whether it's DCPS or public charter school. But where you go to school depends on various things. Where you live, did you enter a lottery, did you apply to a school that there's certain admissions criteria. So you all are attending, all of you all who are in school right now are attending school through one of those routes. And we want to understand a little better why it is that you enrolled in the school that you're in right now. So raise your hand if you are currently in high school. All right, any middle schoolers here? Okay, great. Anyone in elementary school? We got a few of those, excellent. So what we are asking people to do, using your phones, is to text one of these codes to 22333. So you're texting to 22333. And the question that we have here is, why did you enroll in the school that you're currently in? Now, we've only got a set of choices, so it could be that your answer is other. We don't have that here. But let me tell you the choices that we got. So that first number, which can people towards the back see the big numbers that you text to? Yes, no? All right. I'm gonna read the options for answers. And I'll read the codes, but I'm going to read an order from top to bottom, so hopefully you can see the big number. So you're texting the code to 22333. The question is, why did you enroll in the school that you're currently in? That first answer is, it's easy to get to. The main reason, so you got to choose the main reason. The first is, it's easy to get to. The second, it's a safe place. The third, it has a strong academic program. The fourth choice, it has good after-school activities like sports and clubs. Some of you earlier said that's what gets you to school every day. It is where most of my friends go to school, is the second to last choice. And then the last one is, my parents want me to go to the school. So you didn't want to enroll in that school at all, but your parents did, and they got to use the trump card that we parents get to use. And would it be helpful for me to read the codes on the side, or can people see the codes? What's gotten the most votes here? It has a strong academic program. So that makes a lot of sense to me. It's good to hear because we spend a lot of time trying to strengthen academic programs at schools. But it also means, to me, one interpretation of this is, if you're going to one school because it has a strong academic program, perhaps that means you're choosing it over another school that you think does not have a strong academic program. We want a situation where every single school in the city has a strong academic program, so you don't have to make your choice based on that, because you know no matter where you go, that will be a given. Do people think we're there yet as a city? Not yet. I would agree with you. We are not there yet. That is where we want to be. And then clearly your parents are playing an important role in some of your lives and are saying this is where you're going to school. Right now, you might not think that's such a great idea. I bet in 10 years you'll look back and you'll think it was a pretty good idea in most cases. But I get that when you're a teenager, that may not be how you feel. And then the other thing that I would note is there are a couple that also got, good number of votes here. It's easy to get to. Convenience matters. And when we're talking about things like getting to school on time and getting to school every day, which we just were, having a school nearby makes a difference, or having a school that's just easy to get to by public transportation. And then finally, sports and activities. That does matter to young people, and we got to remember that as grown-ups, that yes, the academic program matters, and that's got to be good everywhere, but that those other things really do make a difference. I want to ask folks to comment on what this question brings to mind for you when you're thinking about why it is that you choose a school and what is most important. So regardless of which answer you picked here, if you could tell us a little bit about what's behind your thinking. Why did you say academic program matters most? Why did you say sports matter most? Why did you say the convenience matters most?
Hi, I'm a parent. It would be nice if the strong academic program and the easy to get to were had close numbers, because one of the problems I have is that I have to export my children out to a different community, and it would be nice if they were able to go to school in their own community where they could form strong friendships. I remember when I was younger, I had a lot of friends in my community, and it's very difficult to form those social circles now because you're constantly driving kids around and all of their activities seem to be outside of our neighborhood. So it would be nice if those two areas correlated, if they were a little bit closer in numbers.
So this person was making the point that having the strong academic program, which is the driver, it sounds like, in your thinking, that it would be nice if you could have somewhere that was convenient to get to and close to home and have that. Raise your hand if that resonates. If all things being equal, it would be great to have a school that is nearby to your home. For people who feel like that is not an issue, or that they just as soon go to school somewhere outside of their neighborhood, I'd be interested in that perspective too. One of the things that we're talking about with the student assignment policy is, right now, kids go to school as this young lady talked about, parent. You're young. Right, you're right. That she's bringing her kids across the city. I think you said export every day, right? So there's a lot of traveling that families do. We see a lot of that. But so one of the questions we're asking is, do we try and actually limit people's options to go all across the city as a way to get people to really invest in their local neighborhoods? Or the kind of reverse of that would be to say, at high school, for example, that anyone could attend any school across the city, and there'd be a lottery for everybody across the city. You don't have any one school that you have a right to. I'm interested to hear sort of what young people think about that. Does it matter to you to go to school in your neighborhood because that allows you to be with your friends and have a group that you've gone through with at elementary, middle, high school and have that connection? Or does it not matter to you?
I think it matters a lot because me, myself, I grew up in the District of Columbia and not always in my neighborhood school. So I fell off with a lot of friends that I knew since elementary and pre-K and stuff like that. And I tend to see a lot of relationships with my classmates, and they've been friends since middle school, elementary, and they got this relationship where they study together and do sports together and participate in a lot of extracurriculars together. And it's just a better relationship to have.
So that's interesting, that it's partly about the convenience and travel that we were talking about, but partly it's about you build relationships with kids who you knew all the way going up, and then you can be on sports teams with them, and those strong relationships in some ways maybe cause people to engage in their school more because their group of friends has come up all together. Does that, raise your hand if that sounds familiar to you? Other perspectives on why you chose what you chose up here? Yeah.
Hi, I'm a DCPS parent, and my children are in middle school and elementary school, but I didn't choose the school. I'm lucky enough to live in bounds to a very good school that goes all the way up through 8th grade. The point that I wanted to add on to what someone over here had said about having the alignment between close to you and strong academic programs. To me, that's very important, but it underscores the issue of the disparity across the city and what schools offer, particularly within DCPS. There was an article in the Washington Post, for instance, that talked about how Japanese is offered at Deal Middle School. Well, my middle school is lucky to have one foreign language instructor for one language. I can't imagine having multiple languages. And my fellow parent here at the same school could add on to that if you want.
So I agree wholeheartedly with what this parent said. I have a daughter in a school that's out of boundary right now, but I live in Ward 7. I grew up in Ward 7. I went to school in Ward 7. And I think that if we want our kids to be able to be involved in their neighborhoods, we need programs that are consistent in any school you go to. So what Valerie's talking about, what's going on, Japanese in schools like Deal, we should have Japanese in any DCPS school, whether it's in 7, whether it's in 8, whether it's in 4. We need the same programs. I live right around the corner. I would love for my daughter to be able to walk to school, but I have to escort her every morning toward 6 for her to get a quality education. So I think that that's what you guys need to look at, is consistency in programming all the way across the board.
So this perspective around wanting to make sure that there is consistency of programming and high quality programming across the board is something I hear again and again and again from parents. It makes a lot of sense to me, and it's something that DC Public Schools is working very hard to do. Let me ask the young people, so how many of you all went to more than one middle school? So if you're either in middle school or have gone beyond middle school, but how many of you went to more than one? Okay. How many of you all have gone to or went to more than one high school? So what's the implication? I'd love to hear from someone who has switched schools in that way. What happens when you leave one school and you start at another school? How does that play out? What are some of the things that result? Yeah, back there. What's that? Want me to repeat the question? Sure. When you change schools within middle school or within high school or maybe multiple times along that path, what are some of the things that are a result of that? I mean, how does that play out when you switch schools? What might be hard about that? What might be good about that?
It's confusing. It's confusing because that, like, some schools learn different from other schools.
So the approach to teaching might be different in different schools, and perhaps even what it is that they're teaching, the courses or that kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about? So this young man said it's confusing because things are going to be different in different schools. Who else has had that experience and can talk about what happens when you move around schools?
Well, me and high school, I've been to 4 different high schools throughout my high school years, and it's very difficult because, you know, you gotta make new friends, you gotta adjust to different environments with different people, different teachers. You gotta get to know your teachers, you gotta get to know your classes all over again. some things may go wrong with your cumulative credits and whatnot. You gotta stay focused though. I mean, no. You just gotta adapt and make sure you stay on track, because if your mindset is to graduate, then that's just what you'll do.
All right, so it sounds like we've got some persistence and focus here in this young man, but it can be hard when there's all that movement. What can schools do to help on that front? So those of you who have moved schools, what is helpful at schools that you have then arrived at? What can we as adults do a better job at schools to make that kind of movement easier, less confusing, less taking you off track? What could schools do? What could schools do?
I would say, like the parents said back then, to make everything more consistent. So like in 9th grade, my first 2 days of high school, I went to Laurel High School. And there, like our 9th graders here wear white polos and khakis. But here we have different, where you have to wear dress shoes and this, that, and the third. When I came from there, I came here, and it's like it was more steps and stuff that I had to get done before I could actually come to school. So it's like if everything was more consistent, then it would just be more of an easier transition instead I have to do all these extra steps to come here.
So consistency, being able to, so that if a student is moving from one school to another, there's clarity on what's expected of you, and what you made reference also to what courses you might take at different schools.
Hi, I work with kids in the juvenile justice system, and they do a terrible job of making sure their grades follow them. They come back from residential, they won't have the grades follow them. They come back from youth service center, the grades won't follow them. And those kids do a lot of transitioning in and out of schools, and there's just not a lot of follow through for those kids.
So some of what we as adults in schools can do a better job of is simply ensuring that the information about kids follows them and follows them quickly so people don't lose time. Is that a reasonable summary of that? Right. So information including the grades. Yep.
When I was out Resi, they had we was doing school on the computer and stuff, and I was earning good grades for it. When I came back home, they ain't had no good grades for me. They said I ain't do no work. But now I see, they said I was doing good work, came home, and had no good grades. Then they say we be the ones acting up, be the ones misbehaving and stuff. But OT, that be the adults, that be y'all. Not doing y'all job. Not you in general, but I'm just adults.
Yep.
And y'all be telling us to correct ourselves. Correct yourself.
So you're supporting this point that this parent just made around wanting to make sure that if you've done work in one school or program wherever you are, that work, you should get credit for it and it should follow you.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's what it should be, because we ain't doing work for nothing.
Absolutely.
And we don't even earn our credits. And different states and stuff be having they different credits and all that. Yeah, when I was in the other state, I wasn't earning my credits. I was earning my credits for that state, but when I came back to D.C., they were saying what they say? They said my credits didn't transfer, and it made it seem like I was dumb in school, but I wasn't, because I did all my work that had to be done.
Thank you. So making sure that there's consistency across schools, but also that the information that we have about students is in fact able to be easily shared across schools so that you get credit for something you've done. I want to give people a chance to raise questions that they have about the topics we've talked about today, but also other things that are on your mind. The mayor is eager to hear perspectives from young people about some of the things you've been thinking about. So I want to sort of broaden the topic and invite people to make comments or ask questions at this point.
I'm Claudina Harrison. I'm with Angels Hope Ministries, and I have a question. Many in my neighborhood don't have computers to access information. What monies are being used to give students resources like that?
Yeah, you mean in their schools or in their homes or in their neighborhoods? Well, you know, we've got computers now in every library. We have 15 or 16 libraries that have either been completely built or they have been completely renovated. What neighborhood do you live in? Where? Elvins Road. Okay. We can get. Why don't we try to get you the list of libraries because that's Ward 8. In addition to that, we're building new recreation centers, and every one of those recreation centers also has computers in it. In fact, we've got one. We got a new new recreation center. What is that? What am I thinking about over there? Yeah. Where? Fort Stanton. And I know they have a computer lab in there. We're also building a new recreation center at Barry Farm, and that will be open this year. Is that right, Jesus? You probably can. At the end of the summer. And then every one of our rec centers, every one of our libraries has computer capability in it. And then some of our, I was talking about this earlier this morning, an increasing number of our summer youth employment opportunities are around technology also, so that those young people who are interested can learn more in their summer youth employment job for those 6 weeks also. The other thing that we did, we worked with Comcast to make as affordable as we can. I think it was like $10 a month to be able to make sure we had broadband access for folks as well in their home. So what you're going to see is more and more technology access. What we're doing at St. E's, I don't know how many of you all know what we're doing over at St. E's, but we got, all right, y'all, thank you. We got Microsoft that's coming to Ward 8, and we got 2 other technology firms that are coming to Ward 8 also. So, thank you. There's actually a lot being done. Do we have a ways to go yet? Absolutely. Have we traveled the distance? Absolutely. We know where we're trying to get to, and I think it's where you're trying to get to, and that is make sure that there's technology access to every student, every family that wants to be able to have access in the city. You're welcome. Okay.
Okay, my name is Brianna Da Silva, and I'm a junior here at Friendship Collegiate Academy.
Mm-hmm. You're a junior?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, and I was wondering, what are you doing to make sure it's safer for us to travel to and from school in the morning and afternoon?
That's been a problem over here too, hasn't it?
Yes.
I've been directly involved in situations like that where there are gangs from certain areas that were waiting outside the school at like 2:30, 3 o'clock and whatnot. We have Commander Hickson here. I'm going to ask him if he will join me in answering that question also. So, Dan, if you want to join me with that, I'd appreciate it. But we have actually had, because Metro has a police force. They're right across here, obviously. But we also have more MPD presence as well. When we get wind of these things, we let MPD know, and they will deploy more officers. Mr. Holloway, I know that the roving leaders do things in that regard as well, right? So if you could come down and speak a little bit to what the roving leaders do. They oftentimes know something is about to happen, something is about to jump off, and can get out in front of it before it even happens. So we'll start with Commander Hickson and then Mr. Holloway.
What MPD does is we run a program called Safe Passages, where we try to have designated routes for children to get to school and to get home. And then we partner with roving leaders, with some other people from the community to try to have a presence out there to ensure everybody has a safe opportunity to get to and from their school. In some instances, like the mayor was talking about, where another high school from here has had some other significant problems coming up where it discourages kids from wanting to come to school because exactly what the young lady asked, then we increase our presence both with roving leaders, with MPD officers, and with some other people in the community to try to just give a stronger presence out there to try to make it as safe as we can for everyone.
And Mr. Holloway is a leader in the Roving Leaders program, and he's very experienced. So I'm going to ask him if he would speak to what the Roving Leaders are doing.
What the Roving Leaders do during situations like that, we go to the communities first and we find out what's going on. And then once we find out some things that's going on at the clubs or happening in the community, we report it back to the school where the school can be able to take action. Once we report it back to the school, we'll deal with MPD, and we're on a conference call every day at 1 o'clock, and then we just diverse, talk about all the things that's getting ready to happen at the school so we can get to the subways, the school, to diverse all of these things that's getting ready to happen for the school, especially when we're traveling on the subways and the bus all the time, because a lot of things that's happening at the bus stops, a lot of things that's happening at the subway. So we actually put MPD, Roving Leaders, school security, and all of them come out to try to give y'all some assistance to make things a lot safer for y'all. And these are things that we do.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Holloway, because I know we've had issues over here from time to time. Have you all actually been involved with anything? Because we've had members of gangs waiting outside for kids to come outside of Friendship, around 2:30, 2:45, ready to jump people. Have you all been involved in any of that?
Yep, we've been involved with a lot of that. We have several Roving Leaders over here, like Bridget Miller. Bridget Miller's a longtime Roving Leader. She worked in school, DC Public School. She let us know all the things that goes on in this community. And what I normally do is put together a train of Roving Leaders, and we'll come over here like 5 and 6 and 7 of us at one time with our uniforms on, and make sure we are present and the kids know who we are, and it deters a lot of things that's happening in the community, along with, MPD, we have Metro Police, and all. So we just trying to just simmer down things, because a lot of times we're going to make a home visit to your house, and when the parents look up and see us at your front door, they're going to say, why are you at my front door? Your kid or your daughter was fighting today in school, or they are citing a ride in the school, or they was at the club Friday, Saturday night, and they started a big fight at the club Friday night, and now the school knows it. We know their names, so now when they come to school on Monday, everybody's going to be looking for them and been asking questions, why did this happen or why that happened? And next thing you know, MPD is involved. A lot of times what I like about MPD, they turn a lot of situations over to us because they tell us to clean it up before they have to lock y'all up. And we and that's what I really like, because we want to clean up stuff, because we don't want to see none of our young folks get locked up, because getting a job nowadays and getting a background check and taking urine tests and all this, it's kind of rough on our young folks. So we're just trying to deter a lot of things before it happens. That's what the Roving Leader does.
That's exactly right. And you know what? We're starting to run out of time. We're going to do a lightning round, okay? And that is, you ask the question quick, we'll give you a quick answer, so that everybody else who has a question can get a chance to. Is that helpful to you, young lady? Okay. You have a question or comment? Okay, let's get the mic down here. You ask your question quick, we'll try to give you an equally quick answer.
There's going to be feedback if you go too close.
My name is Valencia Perry. I'm a junior here at Friendship Collegiate Academy. I wanted to know, since people don't come to school, or they come to school for certain reasons, like myself, I come to school for extracurricular. It keeps me out of trouble in the afternoon. I'm in student government. So I wanted to know where the funding goes for extracurricular, since it's a reason a lot of kids actually come to school.
You mean like sports and whatnot? Well, the charter schools, of course, make their decisions themselves on how they want to spend their money. Every charter school gets the same amount of money per student. So the overall amount of money they get is based on the number of students that they have. So Friendship, what do y'all have, about 1,000 or 1,100 students in this building?
Approximately 1,000.
1,000. So whatever the formula is, you multiply 1,000 times that dollar amount, plus they get an additional $3,000 for what they call a facilities fund. That's to be able to take care of the building. $3,000 per student. So that would be for the student, the facilities fund. What would that be? 1,000 times 3,000 times 3,000 would be $3 million. At least $3 million. Hey, somebody do the math for me. Is that $3 million? No, I don't think it's 300,000. I think it's more than that, isn't it? Or is it? Somebody do the math for me real quick. $3 million? $3 million. So that's what and then Friendship as a charter school, because you go to Friendship, right?
Yes.
The charter schools make their decisions on how they want to spend their money, and they can do it by school. Like Friendship doesn't have to go to somebody else, any other school or school board or anything. to ask for permission on what they do with their money. They can do it themselves. DC Public Schools operates a little bit differently. They have a different governing structure, and they have sports programs that are invested in. They have an athletic director who is invested in, who is paid for. I don't think we have enough sports activities. I don't think we have enough extracurricular activities, and we haven't had enough money to increase them. There are some sports programs that we don't have that I really wish we did. Y'all familiar with lacrosse? Anybody know what lacrosse is? That's a great sport, man. Huh? Yeah. Lacrosse. We don't have soccer programs at every school. Okay? All right. Who's next?
Okay.
Some tickets. Yeah. Well, you got to ask a question in order to get a ticket, right?
I am Nathan Green
you did?
with Angels of Hope and
Okay.
I'm a student at Somerset Prep DC. What resources are being poured into grassroots community-based organizations like Angels of Hope to provide services like tutoring and media resources?
There's probably a lot of answers to that, but we have a new program. We put $15 million in it this year called the City Fund, and what was the City of Hope you talked about? Angel of Hope, yeah, Angel of Hope, right? That's on Elvins Road, is that right? Yeah, and they do a really good job. They can apply for, I'm assuming they're a nonprofit, they can apply for a grant of up to, what, $100,000 that would help with the services that are provided. I've actually been to Angel of Hope, and I think you all would be a good candidate for that program. There's the Children and Youth Trust. There's a lot of different organizations, and our Deputy Mayor's office can give you the information on what they would be, what the sources would be. If you want to follow up, if you want to have one of the adults at Angel of Hope follow up. Who's next? Okay.
My name is Dejanay, and I think that I go to Anacostia, and I think that financial incentives will encourage kids.
Talking to the mic, sweetie.
That financial incentives will encourage kids to go to school more.
You know what? That was tried a few years ago, and it didn't work very well. And you know what? If we got to pay kids to go to school, something's wrong with that picture. I actually don't think we would get a lot of additional folks who would come. If they're not coming, I think $10 or $20 or $50 is not going to make that difference. And we did it. I think it was Harvard University that we did it with, and I don't think it worked out very well. It got ended after a couple of years. Yep.
My name is Alfred Harrison with Angels of Hope, but I pose this.
I'm sorry, you with?
I'm with Angels of Hope. We foster a lot of programs for the community in Elvins Road. But at any rate, my question is this, and I posed this to Mayor Bowser when the WMTA had their hearing at our site. What are some of the agencies doing? I noticed in many of the schools you have the ROTC that proposes to get kids involved in the military careers. But it would be nice if the EMS, the police department, the fire department, and many of the government agencies would take a proactive role in the community and in the schools to say, hey, look, this and Homeland Security, which is now in Ward 8, to train and to recruit, starting at the middle school and the high school ages, to recruit them into those types of careers so that our residents are getting those types of jobs.
They actually do. Let me give you an illustration, and that is the cadet program in the fire department. They've been recruiting young people, and the last class, because I went to the graduation, they had 30 graduates from that program. 29 of those young people were from high schools, public education high schools in the District of Columbia, and it was great. A cadet can start out making $21,000 a year, which is not bad money for somebody who's pretty young. But if they finish the program, which is a year-long program, their salary is immediately doubled to $40,000 $22,000 a year, which when you do the math, that's about $20 an hour. That's not bad money. So I would suggest that you look at the cadet program in the fire and emergency medical services as an example. The police department has a cadet program, and a lot of those public safety agencies work together with helping to recruit folks and helping to get them involved. Yes.
Hi.
How you doing?
I had two students who graduated from D.C. Public High School. When I noticed my older daughter, when she went to D.C. Public High School, they had SAT preparation courses. Why have those diminished? When my second daughter graduated, they didn't have it. You had to pay out your pocket. Why have those diminished? And another question is, why don't you have courses in the schools now for the students who are in high school to prepare for not only going to college but staying in college, and how to overcome that challenge when you first go to your first year of college and to stay there and graduate?
Yeah, the first question is actually, I thought we had stepped up. I know we pay for the SAT for any young person in our public schools now that wants to take the SAT, which hopefully would be everybody. So I don't know about the prep for it. Maybe you all can speak to that, but I know that the young people don't have to, and their families don't have to pay the fee. We pay the fee for them so that they can get to take the test without having to be concerned about who's going to pay. I don't know how much preparation is done. There are SAT courses. Can you speak to that, Jesus? Preparation. Okay. See this gentleman right here? He can give you the information on the preparation, on the course preparation for that as well. And what was the second question?
Okay, why don't you have programs in place in these high schools for not only getting the kids to go to college, but also staying in? Because once, a lot of time the transition from high school to freshman year, that's where the students drop off at. They don't return.
Yeah.
Get them not only just to go to college, but to stay in college, to encourage them to stay there and graduate.
Yeah, and that should be a basic part of what we do. And you're right. We had some information about 4 or 5 years ago where only 9% of the young people who went to college actually graduated. They dropped out in droves, and we were trying to get that up. The College Success Program, I know, works with that effort. In fact, we had an initiative called Double the Numbers, which was trying to get from 9 to 18%, which isn't a whole lot better, to tell you the truth. A lot of it, to me, is not so much having a program that prepares people to stay in college. It prepares them academically to be able to compete once they get to college. And that's really what we're trying to do to improve outcomes in our public education system so that young people can compete, that they will not only want to go to college and we will help them get there, but they will understand what the demands of college are there because they've been prepared in their coursework to be able to handle that. Is that going to change quickly? No, it is changing. I believe this. I believe that if we really stay the course with our early education programs, with the 3- and 4-year-olds, they're going to be better prepared for the K through 12 programs, and as a result, they're going to be better prepared than when they go to college. But you're right. We have a long ways to go there. I think we're making progress, but we got a big gap that we have to close at this stage. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, how are you?
How are you?
So my question is around the whole boundary and feeder issue. And I've been at this since it was announced in November. I'm a Ward 7 resident. My daughter goes to school out of boundary. I have followed the deputy mayor around when she or her staff, I have.
Are you stalking her?
A little bit. Especially when they're in Ward 7.
Yeah.
Because there's no answer for parents who currently have their children out of boundary. There's no plan. We don't know where our children will end up, what's going to happen with our children. And I think that you're putting the cart before the horse by changing the boundary and feeder when if you change the programs to make them consistent all the way across the board, then the boundary feeder issue goes away. Because now I want to be in my neighborhood and I can send my daughter to a neighborhood school. Could you speak on what's the plan, what's going to happen? Because right now, Mr. Mayor, I have to look at other options for my daughter because I don't know if the feeder that feeder pattern that I have her in, if she's going to be able to go on with that, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Where's your daughter in school?
Watkins.
I'm sorry?
Watkins Elementary.
Okay, Watkins,
she's supposed
yeah.
to feed the Stewart right when you guys are going to be making your decision.
Well, I want to make sure the process is clear. We've made no decisions at all because that's what the deputy mayor is leading now. And it's a months-long effort to try to get an understanding and say, here's some ideas, what do you think? Here's some ideas, what do you think? Here's some ideas, what do you think? It'll go on at least until the fall. And then there will be some ideas that will be put together. People will have a chance to respond to those ideas. They will be changed as a result of this. I think we should remember that, I don't know, the last time the boundaries were looked at was back in the 70s or the 60s, maybe fundamentally back in the 60s. That would be, 50 years ago. So it is really a lot of work to be done. But I can tell you this, there will not be any decisions made without people having had a full opportunity to provide input into what they think ought to be done. The other part of your question, for me anyway, is trying to make sure that wherever somebody lives, they have an equally good school to be able to attend. That's not easily done, as you know, because we've had differences in the quality of education and public education in the city now for decades. But we are starting to see some progress on that. That's one of the reasons why we had the State of the District address at Kelly Miller this year. Because Kelly Miller is a middle school, which we know is a lot of challenges with middle schools. The principal there was the principal of the year. Kelly Miller is on the east end of the city. The enrollment is growing and growing rapidly, so much so that we're going to put demountables at Kelly Miller next year. And the test scores at Kelly Miller went up in double digits this past year. So I'm just citing one school, but I think that there's a sign of hope for us being able to say that, in the future, wherever somebody lives, there's a reasonable chance that they will get a good quality program as a result of that. Can I make that statement about every neighborhood now? No, there's no way I can do that. But I can say this, that around the boundaries and the feeder patterns at present, that will be a months-long process. And there will be no surprises that will be coming out of that when it comes out, because it will be a very interactive process that we're using. It's been going on for months already. It's at least another 6 months, right? If not longer.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I would just say this. There has not been a lot of communication east of the river about this. I just want to let you know, been to a lot of ANCs, a lot of meetings. People don't know. And if you start making these changes, I'm just want to put that out there. There needs to be better communication from the Deputy Mayor's office on what is going on.
Let me ask you a question then as a part of the answer, and that is, if I ask the Deputy Mayor, she'll say, I've already had 972 meetings in 437 different neighborhoods. And you may be right and she may be right. But help us with this. What other methods of communication do you think would be effective with people?
Bus stops. Everybody is at the bus stop. Put it on the bus stops. Put it on the side of the bus.
But what are we going to put on the bus stop? That
there's this issue going on. Do you know about the new boundary feeder issue? Ask people the question.
Yeah.
You're not asking the question. They sent out that one notice in November, and the chancellor sent out hers, and there's been no other communication. It's on their website, but as this young lady said, everybody doesn't have access to a website. Everybody doesn't have a computer, so people don't know.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and I'll just be perfectly candid. There are people who have access to computers and they have access to technology. What they don't have access to in many instances is the knowledge they need to be able to effectively use it. And that's a part of closing what's called the digital gap, to be honest with you. I don't know, Abby, do you want to add anything further to that?
Sorry, I was just trying to look up the number so I could say it, but people can come find me afterwards. So one, I appreciate you raising this, and the question of ensuring that communities across the whole city are engaged in this process is really, really important. We need everybody to be engaged because we need the perspectives of all of our communities and the ideas that come from all of our communities in terms of how we can resolve what is a challenging situation in terms of our current boundaries and feeders and all of that. So I appreciate you raising it. We have been out in the community at ANCs, at education councils, at community meetings in community centers across the city. We've had focus groups across the city. Do we need to keep doing that? Absolutely. And there are a couple things that we're doing that will be more of that. So during the month of April, we're going to have a series of what we're calling working groups. Already several hundred people have signed up for them. They will not be closed. They'll be open to anybody who wants to participate. But that information is going out to every DCPS student. They've already everyone has had things sent home, one round. We'll have another round of that. And we will have those meetings in different places across the city. So we'll have several of those meetings in the east end of the city, center city, and in upper northwest and northeast are sort of the three focus areas. There'll be a series of those. So if you're interested in engaging in those, we hope that people will. We're also anyone who invites me or my staff to their school, to their community meeting, to their ANC meeting, we are accepting every single invitation. So we hope that people will continue to do that. We've also presented to all of the ANC commissioners so they know that. And I would love your help in getting the word out further.
Yeah, I just want to echo what was just said, and that is one of the most effective mechanisms we have, frankly, are people like yourself. Parent leaders. I think one of the most effective, and there's no single form of communication that's best. There's no magic bullet or anything. But the extent to which we can get parent leaders like yourself involved, you have influence with other parents in getting that information out and getting that word out. So to the extent that you can help us identify parent leaders who should be tapped into, we should be able to say at some point that we have at least one parent in every school in the city who will be able to speak to, who has the communication conduit, avenue to talk to the other parents in the school. I don't know if every school has a PTA or a homeschool association or anything anymore or not. Some do, some don't. And that's a shame too, because it used to be a pretty effective technique, mechanism in the city. And when you do have them, you get the communication out because people talk to one another. So we would love to have your help. You have the information how to contact the deputy mayor's office, right? I suspect Watkins is pretty engaged also. Yeah.
Can I elaborate a little bit further?
Yeah, and then I'm going to take that lady's question back there, which will be the last.
The issue comes in, Mr. Mayor. Watkins is really dealing with their neighborhood. So the parents who are out of boundary, it's hard for them to deal with everyone when they just have to really focus on how is it going to feed for this neighborhood and this community. So it's almost like you're left out of that conversation. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm a part of that community, I'm left out of that community because I don't live in that neighborhood. And I've engaged the parents there. In fact, there are a couple Watkins parents here, and they know I've been speaking about that. I'm very concerned because there's no predictability. I have no predictability now because I don't know if I had a plan, if I knew your plan, then I could make any changes that I needed to make. I don't know the plan. So now I'm just kind of swinging in the wind again. And
but there is no plan to know at this stage. That's what they're trying to move towards. I mean, if we walked out there and said, here's the plan, read it and get yourself acquainted with it, you'd probably take that plan and hit me upside the head with it. Because but if you did, I would understand. And the reason why is because I don't think that's the way you do things. I don't think you just walk up and give somebody a plan and say, here's the way it's going to be. What she's trying to do is build communication, build a plan in a non-existent process, because that's why I said 1968 or 78 or whenever it was, 40 or 50 years ago was the last time this issue was addressed. And you know what? We could have just ducked this. We didn't have to take this on. But it was the right thing to do And that's what we're trying to do. And in the course of it, I think what will be facilitated is a better communication process. But I'll assure you this: there will be no plan that's approved without everybody having had a reasonable opportunity to know what's in it and to have some input into building that plan. But that's what she's doing now. The reason why she has no plan is because that's the plan. To not have a plan right now, to build a plan.
I'll say this one last
That is the
thing,
plan, to build a
and
plan.
I'll stop. I think if you think about programs, I would love for Jordan, my daughter, to be at Neville Thomas, or if Kenilworth was still open, Kenilworth, because those are our neighborhood schools, but they don't have the same curriculum and program that other elementaries have across the city.
And by the way, we're putting $116 million new dollars into public education for next year. And for our middle schools, it will guarantee that everybody will have access to art, music, physical education, and algebra. That will be a vast improvement over the past. And it means no matter where you live, those courses will be available to you at the middle school level. You get the last one.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
So I've seen on your website that one of your goals is to bring back special education students from private placements.
Bring back?
The special education students from non-public placements.
Oh, yeah.
And my concern is a lot of those students went there because DCPS or other schools couldn't meet their needs in the first place. And so my concern is have you done any data of these kids that have been brought back? Are they faring any better than where they were? Because my concern is a lot of these kids have been brought back and inappropriately and too fast, and they weren't getting the supports that they need when they've been brought back. And the position of DCPS really is not to send kids to non-public, even when it's not in their best interests.
Well, by the way, I was the one who started this. And I'll take full responsibility for it, because when I came into office, I looked at how much. It wasn't just a money issue. It was whether we were getting the kind of education for our children that they should have. Because a part of education is socialization also. And I think when children, are segregated by disability, they don't get a chance to interact with other folks, they won't be as equipped as they otherwise would be. And by the way, I say this with some background because I spent a lot of my career working in the field of disability, so I know a good bit about it. We had spent $168 million on non-public tuition the year before I came into office. And I said to folks, I said, this is unacceptable, not from a money perspective, but from the perspective of our parents and our children in many instances cannot count on public education to be able to provide a quality education to our children who may have an IEP. So that's been the goal. We've reduced the numbers from a little over 2,200 down to, I guess we were talking about this yesterday, around 1,150 that now are still in non-public tuition. They won't be taken out of those placements without an IEP change, and frankly what we've done is invest more in special education support systems in our public schools, in our charter schools as well. So the programs have been improved. Are there instances where I'm sure a child is probably not getting everything that she or he should have? I'm sure that that's the case. But is it the majority? I don't think so. I think the 1,100 young people who come back to the one, in terms of the ones who are still in the system, I think they are getting a better education. And I know from a social perspective they're getting a better education because that's the world they're going to have to live with. I don't think we help children, to be honest with you, by putting them in a protected place, and then when that protected place or time is over, they have to get out and fend for themselves in the world. So that happens to be my view, happens to be the view that I've practiced, during my time working in the field of disability, and it probably will be the view that I have for a long time to come.
Do you have data to show that when they're brought back, they're actually making progress? Because I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, I think that would be a matter of the IEPs. We'd have to, I don't know whether you all are doing that or not, looking at the IEPs in terms of the progress that's being made, because that's where it is. That's what an IEP is for, an individual education program being designed for a child. And then are you all looking at those in the aggregate? That would be a good way to do it. But there's an accountability mechanism. Frankly, I think we don't have the money to do it, but every child in the system, whether the child has a disability or not, it would be great if you had an individual education program for that child. Special education, or children with a disability, however we want to phrase it, it creates that opportunity and that accountability mechanism on behalf of the children and on behalf of their families. And there are IEP conferences. I don't know how many are there, Jesus, a year? At least one. Yeah. Yeah, or anytime that there's a change in the program, right? You want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think absolutely, as the mayor said, our goal is to make sure that the child is receiving the service they should be receiving. And in some cases, certainly in the past, many of the students who had services, the determination was made that the school district couldn't provide the services, so they were placed in non-publics. I think our focus right now has really been to make sure that wherever they are, they're getting the services. And what's actually happening, we're doing a lot of work on the front end. Before schools send the students out to the non-publics, we want to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing. We want to hold the school accountable, because to give you one very small example, well, one of the things we're doing is we're inserting ourselves, the state agencies inserting ourselves in a process in those meetings when the IEP teams meet to determine what the placement's going to be. Still, the placement decision is made by the IEP team, but we're there to support and really ask some questions. And one small example to give you is that we had one IEP meeting where the IEP team was ready to place a student in a non-public, but they hadn't done very much at the school level. They hadn't convened an SST meeting. They really hadn't started asking the questions. They were really just ready to push the kid out. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but really we want to make sure that those conversations happen on the front end. On the back end, for the students that might be coming back, we're working to make sure that the DCPS and the schools have the capacity and are building the capacity. And for example, DCPS has built over 30 additional classrooms designed to support our neediest children. But when they come back, we want to make sure that the IEP is very clear about the transition plan. The IEP is very clear about what the goals are going to be. Now, to your question about whether we're doing the data analysis, we actually just are partnering with GW to do that exact data to see how the children that are coming back are actually faring when they do come back. But as the mayor said, it really is driven by the IEP, and ultimately the IEP's annual goals are what determine whether we're meeting those goals. And if those goals aren't being met, every year that team has the opportunity to determine where that child should be best served. So.
You know, again, even though we've reduced by almost half the number of children who are non-public tuition placements, we still are well above the national average. And what it says is that we still haven't done well enough to create enough capacity in our public education systems to serve children who have an IEP, children who have disabilities. And we'll get better at it. We're better than what we were. We're not as good as we're going to be. And I think at the end of the day, every one of our children will benefit socially from the experience of being around children with a wide diversity of capacities and needs and so on and so forth. All right, Cedric.
We want to thank you again, Mr. Mayor, for convening this town hall. We want to thank all of our parents and our young people for coming out on a Saturday morning. And you can go to www.dcyac.dc.gov to get more information about future town halls. Thanks again. Have a good day.